$50 towards your mattress purchase. Terms and
We don't have any
conditions apply.
tickets or anything to
That's
give
gift
away
code
that I need to
event
know about?
at Casper.com for $50 towards your mattress purchase.
Dave?
Casper.com. Thanks for checking us out.
Hiring is important. People are what make your business work. But how do you find the right talent? ZipRecruiter makes it simple. One click sends your job ad to over 100 of the web's leading job boards. But ZipRecruiter doesn't stop there. Their smart matching technology will instantly alert quality candidates about your job.
I mean, that doesn't
surprise
me.
Start getting great
Dave,
candidates
we got any
with the
like
right
tickets we got to give away
experience,
before or no?
Oh, yeah, we do. Good call. Hold on.
Percent of employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site in just one day. The right candidates are out there. This is how you find them. ZipRecruiter, the smart.
Yeah, we got one pair for the Knickerbockers on December 30th.
Cool. All right, so that's Thursday, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
Yeah. No.
Knickerbockers.
Today's the
I like that.
26th. Friday?
Friday?
ZipRecruiter.com.
The 30th?
That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Oh, it's a Saturday, the 30th.
All right. Yeah. All right.
It takes you to call for help, the time it takes you to get medical treatment, and the time it takes you to call an attorney can all affect the value of your case. We have a team of professionals and experts waiting to begin working on your case the moment you call. The faster you call us, the
All right, 10 seconds.
money you deserve. Interact? Need a check? Call Mike Brander today. We're available 24/7, 345-1111.
Mike Brander, the one. Call 345-1111.
Dunc and Holder, back from Christmas. We actually took Christmas off. I know so many of you, at least one of you on Twitter was wondering if we were going to be on the air. But back here on a Tuesday, December 26th. Larry Holder, Jeff Duncan here with you in our NOLA.com Times-Picayune studios. And I would say for Saints fans, the Saints gave all of New Orleanian humanity, all of the Hoodats around the country, around the globe. I know we've got them on our YouTube chat around the globe. Gave them the best Christmas present probably they could ever imagine. A resounding win, I would say, over the Atlanta Falcons. And Jeff, they clinched a playoff spot for the first time since 2013. Haven't clinched a division because Cam Newton decided to fumble the ball forward, pick it up, and go into the end zone. And even Sean Payton, after the game, says, we were close to winning the division, but knowing that that's still on the line this week. But, Jeff, the overall scope of that game, and, of course, we're rehashing because we haven't talked about it. Usually we're going to treat this like a Monday show. Guest-free, 504-260-1280 is the number to get involved. We want you to talk about the win, the Saints' prospects going forward in the playoffs, all of that good stuff. But, Jeff, the Saints, leading up to that game, did everything they could to get the crowd going. In that game, they did everything they could to get the crowd going. And it was one of the, I would say, in the 12 years I've covered the team, one of the top 5 most ruckus atmospheres I've ever been in the Dome. I might be top 3.
Yeah, it seemed like game long, right? It wasn't just one moment. People were into it. They arrived early, which is unusual for the New Orleans crowd. They were into it, and I thought played a key role in the game because the Saints really offensively were somewhat shut down by the Falcons. I thought the Falcons played well defensively. But I think it was a lot like it wasn't quite as wild as the NFC Championship game, but I felt like the crowd carried the team in that game, and I felt like to some extent they did as well against the Falcons. Created a lot of problems for the Falcons offense. I think they had a number of pre-snap penalties, and they're going to need that going forward, especially in the playoffs, and I'm sure it'll be that way when they get that home playoff game.
I was wondering how many people would be even able to wake up early on Christmas Day because they would be so wiped out from screaming. I was literally thinking that throughout the entire game because it was from first snap to the end. It was ultimate energy. I think people probably were on 7 cans of energy drinks or 15 cocktails or whatever, but it was a raucous atmosphere, and I know that it played a part in that. And I think the Falcons knew that they were coming into a hornet's nest, and the Saints made them pay. And that was something that you knew 2 weeks removed from that game in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta how much the Saints wanted this game, and they knew everything was on the line, and they got it done. They're in the playoffs, and now we can really start looking forward to what's going to be best for the Saints come January.
I think a lot of Saints fans watched the Eagles last night and felt pretty confident about their chances if they have to go to Philly, and I'm not sure that was the case 3 weeks ago before Carson Wentz went out, but Carson Wentz, I should say. But Philly just looks like they're limping to the finish line. They don't look like the same team. They look vulnerable defensively as well as offensively. But the conundrum you have if you're a Saints fan, to play Philly, you would want the number 4 seed. And the problem with that is if you do beat Philly in the divisional round, you are insured of having to go on the road in the NFC Championship game. So you have to win 2 road games to get to the Super Bowl as opposed to 1 potentially if you get the 3rd seed. So I'm thinking that going through Minnesota, taking your chances of beating Case Keenum, and then you hope that Philly loses in the other divisional game and you can get a home game in New Orleans for all the marbles. That's probably the way I would assume the players and coaches would want to go, but that's getting the cart before the horse too. I mean, you got to win your first game at home against either Atlanta or potentially Carolina. You're going to have to beat a divisional opponent is what it looks like to me.
Well, you really got to put the cart before the horse because you got to guarantee you even get a home game for the first round of the playoffs. Because, look, here are the playoff scenarios, and we'll spell out the times. The Saints-Tampa Bay Bucks game got flexed to 3:25, and I don't know how I feel about the NFL moving the games around and having them all played at the same time and nixing out Sunday night football. Usually that's part of the way it is. You're able to gauge how you play it. If you're in that Sunday night game, it's an advantage if you're the sexy matchup, and if you're locked in your playoff spot, you don't have to move. But now everybody's got to play all at once, and so I'm sure some teams are probably not happy about no Sunday night football because they can't rest guys or play some guys that they didn't want to. And so moral of the story is every big game outside of New England's game and Pittsburgh's game, because that still has some jostling where it could affect the AFC number 1 seed. But every other game with every other playoff implication is now at 3:25 on Sunday. And, of course, that includes Saints and Tampa Bay. That includes Carolina and Atlanta. And just to spell out what the Saints have in front of them, the Saints, they win. They're in the NFC South Division Championship chair. They would host a playoff game. At worst, they would be a 4 seed. If Carolina loses, the Saints win the division title. Or if the Saints tie and Carolina ties, we know that's not going to happen. So, Carolina, though, they clinched the NFC South with a win and a Saints loss or a tie, or a Carolina tie and a loss, and Carolina can clinch a first-round bye. This is amazing.
I tweeted that out today. I was surprised at that.
This is amazing. They can clinch a first-round bye. The Saints can't get a first-round bye.
No.
Somehow the Carolina can get into a first-round bye if they win, the Saints lose or tie, Minnesota loses, and the Rams lose or tie. Is all that going to happen? Very unlikely, I'd say. But it is pretty amazing that Carolina can still get a first-round bye and the Saints can't, even though the Saints hold the tiebreaker edge on Carolina if they're tied. So pretty amazing. But, yeah, those are the scenarios, at least for those two teams.
The way it works out, I looked at it, Carolina basically has to get in a tiebreaker scenario with only Minnesota. And they beat Minnesota straight up. So they would get in, whereas the Saints, if they get in a tiebreaker with Minnesota, they lost to the Vikings. So it's pretty simple. But if they get into a 3-team tiebreaker, it gets really confusing, and they would lose out. So Carolina, it's a long shot. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think Minnesota's going to lose. I don't think the Saints are going to lose.
And the Saints, we've played this out already, obviously lose a heads-up tiebreaker to Minnesota, obviously lose a heads-up tiebreaker to the Rams because those are the 2 of the 4 games that they lost to. But, look, who cares? Saints are in the playoffs. I think if you would ask Saints fans right now, and if they could look back at, say, the start of the season, I think the vast majority of them would say getting into the playoffs would be a great season. That would be good enough, and then you move on and try to build from there. And I would still think that I understand Saints fans want to see them, they're in, they want to see them win the Super Bowl. But even if they got in, and we don't know how they're going to be because this NFC is it's such a crapshoot. It's unlike the AFC. AFC's got the top 2 teams and the rest, and might as well just put the Steelers and Patriots in the AFC title game because they're head and shoulders above everyone else. But it could be a total jumble here of what happens. I do think that maybe logical Saints fans would say, all right, look, if they got in, they win a playoff game, they happen to lose in the divisional round, I think they could take a step back from the initial shock of the loss and bummer and be like, this was a good season.
No doubt. And I think Saints fans feel like this is kind of lagniappe now. This season, I think, has arrived a little early, but the one thing I would say, and I think Saints fans are sophisticated enough to realize this, there's an opportunity here because the NFC is not there is no New England or Pittsburgh in the NFC. It's pretty wide open, and the Saints really have an opportunity. I'm not sure they could go and beat Pittsburgh or New England in the Super Bowl. Matter of fact, I think they'd be decided underdogs in that game. Whoever wins the NFC is probably going to be an underdog to Pittsburgh or New England, assuming they get there. But just to get to the Super Bowl, be a remarkable achievement and set the stage for future because this team is young. It would be great experience for a lot of these young players like Mike Thomas and Marshawn Lattimore and Alvin Kamara to play on that kind of stage, get that under their belt because this team is young and should be in the mix going forward, assuming Drew Brees is back and they stay together. You have a lot of reason for optimism going forward. It'd be a great experience for them.
Look, let's get your thoughts on this. 504-260-1280 is the number to get involved. We're going to touch on some of the aspects from the game, even though we're a couple of days removed. We still want to give our thoughts on that. And then going forward, who do you think gives the Saints their best chance as far as, say, their week 1 of the playoffs, because we know they're going to be playing week 1. Which matchup gives you the best chances of moving forward? Which teams do you not want to face in the playoffs? Which teams would you be okay with facing in the playoffs? Give us a call. 504-260-1280 is the number to get involved. Also, the Pelicans, hey, they win 2 in a row. To me, they're on a roll. They're above 500 now.
Dallas.
And so
here we go. As soon as we jump on board.
That's right. 17 and 16. All things are swell.
Look out, Golden State.
But, hey, guess what? It's still December. We're still giving away tickets here on Sports 1280. So we will give a keyword in the first hour. You know the drill by now. And if you can correctly give us the keyword when we ask for it in hour number 2, you will win tickets to Saturday's game against the Knicks. Look, the Pelicans play tomorrow night at home against the Nets. But no, we're going to give away 2 tickets to the December 30th, which is Saturday, that game against the Knicks in the Smoothie King Center. So, Jeff, this is important. What is your key word that listeners need to call in and give?
Well, this keyword is going to be something we talk about at some point in the program today, so it'll be simple. And I think if anybody's been on social media today or look at NOLA.com, they'll know what I'm talking about. The keyword will be gumbo.
Gumbo, huh?
Yes.
Not
gumbo.
butt pick?
No. I don't like butt pick. Don't like it at all. I'm on record. Don't like any name I've seen so far.
Oh, my gosh. I had no idea that this is actually going to become a thing on this show.
None of it.
How do you not like butt pick?
It's terrible.
Butt fumble, butt pick. It's all
like
the same.
any of it. No, it's all terrible.
It's all terrible.
All
Is
terrible.
Jeff wrong?
Yes.
Is it all terrible? 504-260-1280 again. What's the key word not to confuse people?
Yeah, exactly. Gumbo is the key word today.
All right. The old dog, the dog mascot of the Saints, Gumbo. So, all right, we'll ask for the keyword in hour number 2. You give us a call, let us know. Dave, why don't we take a quick break right here on the show? I know we got callers on the line. We will get to you when we come back. So, again, 504-260-1280 1280 is the number to get involved here on a Tuesday edition of the show, which we're treating like a Monday edition of the show. So, look, Jeff and I will be here till noon. So come on back here. Sports 1280, NOLA.com, and the iHeartRadio app. We're Dunc and Holder.
What's better than that fruitcake you got at the office Christmas party? You know, the
Okay,
one
who
that's
we
been
got?
passed around
I'm
the
sorry.
farm.
All right, we got Martin in Dallas
Okay.
and Juan in Uptown.
Okay.
And Jeffrey, your mic's a little low. Just tap it up a hair.
Okay, buddy.
Keyword Sports 1280, slam dunking your holiday, and catch all the games on News Talk 99.5 WRNO. If you fall
You don't like
behind
butt
on your
pick. You
taxes,
wrote about the
you
butt
know
pick.
that the
I know, I just don't like the
coming for their
term. I
money,
haven't seen
and they'll
any
get
terms
it
I
too
like.
by garnishing your wages
You
or
are so
maybe
hard
even
to
taking your
please.
home or business.
Boom and zoom.
Seems,
Compliant,
yeah,
and
exactly.
you'd bet-
Can't-
Boom and zoom.
Penalties and interest
Well, when
rates
Mark
are
Ingram
making
took
it
off,
seem
boom,
impossible
went
to ever
zoom.
get out of debt.
Oh,
You need to call
God.
the experts at Optima Tax Relief.
Yeah, I
Did
saw
you see-
Clyde tweeted out a picture of some fans with the boom and zoom
I know.
stuff.
I know.
That's
Cheese
funny.
ball.
Stop aggressive collection
Did you
actions.
see what,
They get to work immediately, fighting to protect
what,
your assets and
Brett
helping
Martell
you
is
put
trying to
your tax
forward
problems
the
behind
rump
you. The
Trump.
IRS writes
Oh,
out
no.
millions every year.
So I've
and
written
Optima
down all
knows
the ones
all
that
the
people
ins
sent
and
me.
outs of the
right,
IRS's
we'll
tax
go- we'll
assistance
definitely go
programs
over
that could
Matter of fact,
save
I've got
you
some new entries I
thousands.
need
So
to-
what are you waiting for? Call Optima now
No,
for a
you-
free consultation.
Here's what you do. You can con Jeff into liking whatever you want if you give him a cupcake or a Rice Krispie treat. Then Jeff's on board.
Can't deny.
Optima Tax
It
Relief.
can be bought.
Some restrictions
Bought
apply.
with
For complete
sweets.
details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Attention all women who have been diagnosed with ovarian
And maybe a
cancer.
glass of
In
scotch.
February 2016, Johnson
Or a
&
nice
Johnson
glass
baby
of
powder
wine.
was ordered
That's
to pay
true.
$72 million by a jury to women who
Shane
died of
Rodriguez
ovarian
agrees
cancer
with you.
after
Butt pick is the
35
easy
years of
answer.
using
It's
the talcum
easy.
baby powder product. Multiple studies
terrible.
show women who have long-term use of
It's
baby
gotta
powder
go
products
along-
with talcum
oh,
for
we're
feminine
gonna talk
hygiene
about
can
this.
increase
Oh
the
my
risk of
gosh.
contracting ovarian cancer. If
Buttception
you
I
or a
got.
family member has
Oh,
been diagnosed
no.
with
Oh,
ovarian
I saw
cancer
people
and
trying to
used
push that
Johnson
one.
& Johnson
I got
or
a bunch
shower
of
to
them.
shower
What's
baby
that? All right,
powder
we'll go
prior to
through
the
'em
diagnosis. Call talcum baby powder
some point in
helpline
the show.
today.
Yeah, no doubt.
800 457
You saw the gumbo thing,
3280.
right? The Atlanta
Yes.
Lawsuit.
I-
Minute and a half.
Financial
I
compensation.
saw.
The
I
consultation
just saw
is
the
free,
headline. I
and
never.
we'll
I
pay you
didn't
nothing
click
unless
on
there
it.
is a recovery in
use-
your
to use
favor.
gumbo
If
mix,
you or a
Zatarans
loved
gumbo
one
mix
used
or whatever.
talcum baby powder based products
So,
before being
do you s-
diagnosed
I
with
mean,
or
do you
died from
expect
ovarian
the
cancer,
Atlanta mayor
call
to know-
talcum
really
baby
know how to
powder
cook
helpline
gumbo?
today. 800
Yeah, well, I mean,
457
So he just
3280.
went and bought gumbo mix.
They're gonna cook it,
457 3280.
go to the link.
800
We got some good ones
457
here, actually.
3280.
New entries.
Ring in the new year with a gift from Edible
not sure
Arrangements.
some of them we
Make
can
your
say
New
on the
Year's
air.
Eve celebration sweeter than ever.
Hey, Cordell's still alive.
All
Only
right.
$19.
All right, so we got Martin in Dallas,
Yeah.
Juan in Uptown, and now Cordell in Minnesota.
All right.
Specially crafted fruit arrangement or
Was that
chocolate
Juan
dipped fruit
Kincaid
box
enough?
as they're counting down.
Must be.
I doubt it.
If one of your New Year's resolutions is to eat more fruit, stop by an edible store near you to try a freshly made fruit salad parfait.
He could be using a nom de plume.
Local edible arrangement store or edible.com
Maybe.
today to place.
Well, he said his last name was Smith. It's Juan Smith. Sounds fishy to me.
Sounds suspect.
One stage. Over 20 of the biggest artists on the planet.
We never got
Celebrated with iHeartRadio
Duncan
fans
Holder
from around
flag.
the world.
Nope.
Some guy sent me
Our
a thing about that Alan Poole.
2017
get
iHeartRadio
at least
Music Festival.
And we asked for that for 6 months from our people.
10 seconds.
I might
Watch
splurge
for the best of our iHeartRadio Music Festival this
it out.
Thursday night and Friday night at
Yeah.
7 p.m.
could
on
do
NOLA
it, and
38, the
then
CW.
Maybe even expensive.
This is Dunk and Holder on Sports 1280, New Orleans.
Jeff, should we extend this to Torture Tuesday, even though it's kind of just like a Victory Monday kind of a deal? Are you okay with that, or
Yeah, I'm
no?
okay with it.
You're still okay with Marilyn Manson coming on and
Yeah.
Rage and some Volbeat?
Yeah,
from
I'm
Morton
okay
Anderson?
with it today.
You okay
Kinda-
with Torture
look,
Tuesday?
I had a relaxing Christmas, a very enjoyable holiday season. I got a great night's rest last night. I'm fired up.
I'm still putting
You're very
toys together.
magnanimous today, huh?
Yeah,
I am.
he's partying. He's
No-
ready to go.
No
And,
rants. No old Duncan rants today.
When we get into what to call
wait.
Marshawn Lattimore's interception, yes, old man rant Jeff's coming out
yes,
because
you will.
I don't like anything. Get off my
I don't
lawn.
like the butt pick. That's horrible.
I don't like anything.
I don't like that. Come on. Butt pick?
We're going to get into that later on in the show because you've got all the names. You can't make a Twitter poll with 12 entries, Jeff. So we're just going to have to.
I'm doing a Twitter
We're
poll.
going to have to go with what it is. I guarantee you, my selection will win. So let's hit
Well,
the
I know.
phone lines.
The masses are sometimes wrong.
They listen to smart people and follow tried and true leaders like me. 504-260-1280 is the number to get involved. Let's head up to Dallas. Martin in Dallas. Martin, thanks for calling Dunc and Holder. What's up, Martin?
Hey, man, how y'all doing?
We're great.
Hey, couple of things. The Superdome crowd was like the loudest. I mean, from the opening drive, you know, they was just completely. They did good. Think they can do that again on a playoff game?
For sure.
Yeah, Carolina.
I
think. I
think it could.
I don't know if Carolina would even be affected by it. That was the head of the Atlanta Falcons, too. What's up with the third down percentage on a conversion?
That's a problem.
They might have to kind of straighten that out, right?
That's a big problem, Martin.
Yeah, hey, Martin, appreciate the phone call. That's certainly a problem. Look, on defense, it was great for the Saints. What was it, 2 of 12 for Atlanta? And then I think the Saints were 3 of 12. That has been a chronic issue all season long for the Saints. It's no longer, you can't just sugarcoat it. They've got issues. And I think part of the issues are that the weapons you have in the receiving game just simply aren't as potent consistently as what they've had in the past. I think we can all go out and say that. They don't have a reliable tight end to throw the football to. They don't have a really dynamic trio of wide receivers, say like last year when you had Michael Thomas, Brandon Cooks, Willie Snead, because Willie Snead, for some reason or another, just isn't playing like he was playing last year. Then Michael Thomas, people keying on him. Ted Ginn, sometimes he can. Look, he's been great for most of the year. Look, and then you have the pick that flies through his hands, and ball flies out. And yes, exactly. But the defense came up huge. But no, the Saints, they can't struggle like that on third down. What was it? What were their third down numbers against the Rams? I feel like I need to look that up. And it was very low against the Rams.
Against the Rams? I don't know. I know it was low Sunday against the Falcons.
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
And the
I'm
Falcons
just saying
were
against
low.
good teams, certainly that the third down numbers. But overall, I think they're not as potent on third down. I know I've written about it quite a few times, saying my first and 10 columns, just where they stacked up. And I said it on the show. I think the lowest percentage as far as where they ranked in the NFL on third down throughout the Sean Payton and Drew Brees era was in 2009. They finished 6th, and that was their lowest third down percentage. They're in the middle of the pack, and they're probably lower than the middle of the pack at this rate at third down.
Yeah, no, they're struggling, and it's no longer just kind of a fluke. I mean, it's been a season-long issue, and the Saints. I asked Brees about it after the Jets game. He was somewhat in denial, but it's an issue. There's no doubt about it. I mean, I think this team is better on first and second down and worse on third down. You know, that's been the issue all year. But first and second down, they're getting consistent good gains, especially on the ground, that sets them up in favorable down and distance scenarios, kind of keeps them ahead of the chains, as they say. But for some reason, they're not converting on third down. And I'm not sure they're going to get it solved this year.
No, Saints were 3 of 13 on third down against the Rams. But defensively, they held the Rams to 3 of 14, so their third down defense has been playing really well. But the Saints are the league's best on fourth down, Jeff. They lead the league in fourth down conversion percentage.
They're unbelievable primarily because the other team consistently makes it hard to get a yard and overthinks it instead of just quarterback sneaking it, like I always say. The other day, Devontae Freeman lines up 6 yards deep in the backfield without a fullback. And Atlanta's been bringing in Dontari Poe, their big defensive tackle, to be a lead blocker. They didn't do that. And they hand the ball off on like an off-tackle run, which has worked for them previously against the Saints. But the Saints had to know it was coming, stopped it easily, I thought. I don't get it. I don't understand. I saw it happen last night in the Eagles game against the Raiders. The Eagles went for it on 4th and 1 and handed it off and didn't get it. Just sneak over. It's not that hard.
Every time in the press box, I turn to you and you always said, nope, they're not going to get it. They're not going to do the Brees.
And they don't get it.
No, and they don't get it.
It's amazing. But the Saints' goal line defense has been a strength this year.
No
Amazingly.
doubt.
I don't know why it's so good because I don't really see any dominant defenders in there except for Cameron Jordan, and they have some good instincts on their linebackers. I mean, especially when A.J. Klein was in there, but Manti Te'o has been excellent against the run.
He had one of the best games probably of his NFL career.
I agree, yeah. He's been
Falcons.
excellent against the run and a real find for them. He's not great in coverage, but he is what he is, and he's very smart, very heady defender.
No doubt about it. 504-260-1280 is the number to get involved. Let's head uptown to Juan. Hey, Juan, thanks for calling Dunc and Holder. What you got this morning?
How y'all doing? I'd like to see first off, what's going on with the hair getting cut?
Okay.
I like it, Juan.
Here's what I say.
We've all been saying that.
And now I'm putting the pressure on the station because an event should be coming. It's going to be on a grand stage where we don't do it in studio. We do it in front of the masses where I look like the town jester because I was wrong. So it is coming. I can promise you that.
Soon.
It's coming soon.
Right.
I can tell you I will not have hair by the time the playoffs start. I promise you that. One way or the other, I promise you that. So, Juan, I appreciate the pressure because I'm ready to go. I was ready to go last week. I deserve it. And, look, for me, hey, if it's a rallying cry for people out there, good. I'm in. Let's go.
Man, look, I just like to commend my Saints on the win. I called 2 weeks ago when they lost to the Falcons 2 weeks ago, and I said we was going to come and beat them heavily. We ain't do it exactly how I thought, but we did it. And I just take, like y'all said, y'all touched on it on the last segment. Y'all was like, everything, I'm taking it as lanyard because, as you can see, we started off the season before the first game. We had injuries and things like that, and then as the season progressed, we kept getting injuries, and we kept battling, we kept winning, and they just grinding it out right now. And everything right now is like lanyard. I would like them to go as far as they could take it. And I'm like, y'all was talking about the linebacker position, too. I think as alone, the rookie we had, before he got hurt, he was doing very good. And he a linebacker with range. I felt like he was running sideline to sideline. He one of the linebackers with range. But I feel like what we get this year, it's like it'll be good. I'll be happy with how they end the season. We're in the playoffs or whatever. We don't have to win the Super Bowl, but it's good because we have a young defense, and then our offense, they missing a couple of pieces, and I think we're going to get that handled in the offseason. But next year, everybody will be healthy, and then, we got contracts and stuff like that, but we'll bring our team back together, and the players that's hurt, we're going to be a much stronger team. That's just going to make us stronger, and that's going to help our depth too, because they have people that wouldn't have played this year if we didn't have them injuries. They playing and they stepping up in big situations like Manti Te'o. They stepping up in big situations.
That's great point,
Juan. That's a good point all around. Appreciate the phone call and appreciate the heat on the hair. Bring the heat. It's gonna happen. I'm telling you. I promise you. One way or the other. I don't know. Jeff might come in my sleep and just chop it off at my house.
In Larry's defense, he's been ready to go. So he's ready to do it. We've got to get the right, proper time and place.
I'm not using the loophole of 10-6. People have come up to me and said, you don't have to do it now since they've won 11 in games. I'm not going to use the loophole, which was in the original proclamation. Plenty of people would use the loophole. You know it. I will not use the loophole.
No, we're going to get it done. It'll happen before the playoffs. And but Juan made a good point. I tell you one thing, I will guarantee you for next year, the Saints will be in primetime more than one game next year.
Oh, no doubt about it.
They're going to be one of the most, I think, high-profile teams in the league next year because of all these young rising stars, Mike Thomas, Alvin Kamara, Marshawn Lattimore. Suddenly they've gone from low profile to one of the league's more exciting, watchable teams. It's amazing they've only been on national TV one time this year.
Absolutely. I would totally agree with that. So let's take a break right here on the show. 504-260-1280 is the number to get involved. I know Cordell, longtime caller and listener in Minnesota, the lone hoot-at up in Minnesota. Maybe there's a couple of Saints fans up there. So we'll get to Cordell next, and we'll take your phone calls. And then I'm going to say this. Top of the 11 o'clock hour, Jeff and I are going to have a fierce debate on Marshawn Lattimore's interception. It deserves a name.
You're getting
mass love already on the Twitter poll.
Yeah, the Twitter poll is so one-sided. It's not even worth.
That's because I made the grand proclamation on Sunday, and everyone's bought in.
It has nothing to do with you. you.
It has everything
No,
to do with
everybody called it butt pick.
No, I did it first. I went and looked it up on Twitter, and I was the first one to ever
Okay.
claim it
It's
by
the
by
most-
about
It's
10
the
seconds.
dumbest name ever. I refuse
The
to use
dumbest name.
I refuse to use it. It'll never, ever be in Jeff Duncan copy ever.
It wasn't in your Sunday column?
No, I didn't use that word. It's a dumb name.
Are you sure?
Yes.
I can get in the system and change
No,
that.
I used fanny pick, which is much
Fanny
better.
pick?
Yeah, like fanny pack. It's hilarious.
Oh my gosh.
It's hilarious. I think it's
Cordell in
just too
Minnesota.
sophisticated.
Oh boy, we're coming up to you next here. Sports 1280 NOLA.com and the iHeartRadio app. Duncan Holder. I'm gonna go in every one of your columns.
That's true. You do have that.
Your forecast on Sports 1280, New Orleans.
Then you can go in mine and like
This report
change it
is
back.
brought to you by
You
Holiday
can
Inn.
change something.
Happy
all of
Tuesday
mine.
from the Fox 8 Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Shelby
Yeah, it's like
Lucchino.
way ahead.
Cloudy
56%.
skies and a few
Oh,
showers
yeah.
around today.
To
We'll keep
17%
temperatures down.
Blame
Buns of
Mark
Likely only
Sanchez.
climbing
What about
into
Buns
the
of
low
Steel?
50s this afternoon.
That's hilarious.
I had
Overnight, we'll
one
fall into
my
those
buddy
40s, and we likely won't get
Mike
out of the
from
40s for
Chart
highs
Room.
tomorrow
He's the
as
only
more
one
clouds
who
and
said
more
something. He's like,
showers move
really,
into
Buns
the
of
area.
Steel? I was like, that
From
was
the Fox
great.
8 Weather
That's
Center, I'm
hilarious.
meteorologist Shelby
I thought it was-
Lucchino.
Everyone else was like,
I never would have thought of that.
I wouldn't have either.
Stop by the
I
Round
might even
Holiday
thought of
Inn
Buns of
inside
Steel,
the
like
Round
the-
Holiday Inn
but
on
never
the
would
West
have
Park
thought of the
Expressway for
STEAL.
breakfast,
Yeah.
That
lunch,
was like a
or
great-
dinner 7 days a week.
The sum above
Our
difference
headline
is options.
Prince Side are awesome.
At Jersey Mike's, you'll find
What's that?
all kinds
Our
of chicken
headline keeps
cheesesteaks.
on
I
Prince
know.
Side.
Some
Make it happen
filling,
all
Well,
the
you
time.
know,
some bacon.
Brett talks about it all the time.
fresh off
like,
the grill tasty. Jersey
we
Mike's.
should have like a
Be a sub
Slack
above.
channel or
Attention
something.
all women who have been
Where you can
diagnosed with
send and
ovarian
say,
cancer. In
"Oh,
February
yeah." Well, what Brett
2016,
says, we
Johnson
should
&
have,
Johnson
like,
baby
one person
powder
on
was
staff,
ordered to
that's what
pay
they do. They
$72
write
million
headlines
by a
for
jury
all of
to
our
women
stuff
who
'cause
died
it's
of
so
ovarian
important
cancer after
to drive
35 years
traffic
of
on
using
it
the
on-
talcum
on
baby
the
powder
internet.
product.
Yeah.
Multiple
That we should
studies
have,
show
like,
women
a-
who have long-term
you know,
use of baby
that's what
powder
they do.
products with
James
talcum for
Karst,
feminine
whoever.
hygiene can increase the
Actually,
risk
Phil
of
Worley was
contracting
the best
ovarian
ever.
cancer. If
And
you
that-
or a
he could
family
write
member
every
has been
headline
diagnosed
for,
with ovarian cancer and used
you know,
Johnson
the
&
ones
Johnson
that
or
you're
Shower to
struggling
Shower
with.
baby powder prior to the
But just-
diagnosis,
it's too
call
much of a
Talcum Baby
balance
Powder
between that
Helpline
and
today.
SEO friendly.
800-457-3280. You
don't even
may
need to
be
go
entitled to
SEO.
substantial
Well,
compensation.
they'd rather
The
us
consultation is free, and you'll pay nothing unless there is a recovery in your favor. If you or a loved one used to.
All right, so we got Cordell in Minnesota. Now we have a Ronnie on the West Bank
Okay.
and an Adam in Jacksonville.
800
Saxonville.
280. 800 457 3280.
If you've fallen behind on your taxes, you know that the IRS is already coming for their money, and they'll get it too by garnishing your wages or maybe even taking your home or business. They call it
All right, Dave,
enforced
I put the
compliance,
public
and
heat
you
on.
better watch out.
Yep.
Taxes and interest
I tell you, man.
possible
I'm
to-
telling you, people, I can't escape it.
Yeah.
It's everywhere I go,
They do. One
all
call to
day, every
Optima
day.
starts the process
that's
to
only-
stop the
like,
demand letters
Random
and stop
delivery
aggressive
people
collection.
come to
That's
who
funny.
come up the elevator
Your
are like,
assets and helping
dude, why do
put
you have your
tax
hair?
problems
Like seriously.
I was
Off
going down
millions
the
every year, and
stairs
Optima knows all the ins
in
and
the
outs of the
Superdome to go to
IRS's
the
tax
post-game
assistance
press conference
programs
and
that could
somebody asked
save you thousands. So what
Seems
are you
Larry
waiting
shaking
for?
his
Call
head.
Optima
I go,
now for a
coming.
free consultation.
I'm like
Call
Oh,
circling down the
800-798
stairs.
2477. That's 800-798 2477. 800-798 2477.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit.
All right, 30 seconds.
As a small business owner, you make every dollar count. So what could you do with $10? Go to Vistaprint.com today and you'll get 500 high-quality custom business cards for only $9.99. That's less than 2 cents per card. And at Vistaprint, your satisfaction is absolutely guaranteed. So it's never been easier to turn 500 strangers into connections. Just visit Vistaprint.com and use promo code 2929 at checkout. That's Vistaprint.com, promo code 2929.
The uncensored talk about your teams. Sports 1280, New Orleans.
Let's hit the phone lines again here on the show. 504-260-1280 is the number to get involved. Let's head up to Minnesota. I think the first caller ever on our show, Cordell in Minnesota. Cordell, what's up, buddy? Thanks for calling Duncan Holder. What you got?
Hey, guys. Merry Christmas. How y'all doing?
You too, Cordell.
Great, Cordell.
Good, man. I wish y'all could send out some of this heat, some heat up here, man. It's below zero up here, man.
Brutal.
Well, it is. Then it's like sunbathing weather here because it's like 50 and we're all bundled up like
Man,
it's a blizzard.
I'd kill for 50 degrees right now. I'd be out barbecuing right now. Hey guys, first of all, I want to say shout out to the Who Dat Nation in that dome. I mean, I obviously watched it on TV, and man, I'm telling you, that crowd was loud, man. I was so happy to see that. You know, just to answer y'all's question, we have a lot of Who Dat fans up here. Believe me when I tell you that. The Who Dat Nation is everywhere, guys. Here's what I wanted to talk about. A couple of things. First of all, my first question is, who's this number 90? I think his name's George Johnson or something like that. I believe he's been with us for 2 games, and he already has like 2.5 sacks.
Yeah, look, they pulled him in after the Trey Hendrickson injury, and he's certainly kind of luck of the draw. They worked him out. They picked the right guy, and he's definitely made an impact. I know he saw more snaps maybe this game than he did the previous game, and I think the previous game he saw a decent amount of snaps. Let me look exactly. George Johnson had 38 snaps against the Falcons, 58% of the plays. So they are using him heavily at defensive end. And look, I think Haley Kikaha, I don't think I'm mistaken. I think he left with an injury though.
Yeah, it looked like he got hurt
in the Falcons game. So if you can't have him, you're definitely going to be seeing more George Johnson. But he's been definitely a good piece that they've picked up off the street. Kind of reminds me. I'm not trying to say these seasons are the same, but reminds me when the Saints had to go out and sign Chris McAllister, and they had to bring back Mike McKenzie back in 2009. They were able to kind of make that thing work at cornerback.
Absolutely. Now, another question now, who's responsible for bringing him in? Is it Jeff Ireland? Because if he's making moves like this, I'm afraid that we might not be able to keep him. I believe, some other franchises might notice, how he's helped turn this team around and want to sign him as their GM. I don't know what his position is with us. And then the other thing is, my other comment before you guys answer, and I'm going to let you know, is I would like to, even though we played Carolina, we beat Carolina twice, and it's hard to beat a team 3 times in a row, I'd rather see Carolina in the playoffs than, say, Atlanta. I think we can also beat Seattle with no problem, too. That defense is not the same defense as it was when we played them a couple of years ago. But the only issues that I'm concerned with Seattle and or Carolina is that Jimmy Graham and the tight end for Carolina,
Greg Olsen, yes, he's back.
Greg Olsen's back, so they might give us a little bit of a problem. But I'm not worried. Their wide receivers don't scare me. Their running backs don't scare me, believe it or not. And so I think that'll be our best chances at winning. But I'm going to go ahead and hang up and let you guys answer that. And then thank you. Merry Christmas to you guys, man. I'll continue to listen.
All right, Cordell, appreciate the phone call as always. Let's start with who would be responsible, say, for finding George Johnson. It wouldn't be Jeff Ireland.
No, it'd be Terry Fontenot. He's the director of pro personnel, and that's what he and his staff do. He has a couple of pro scouts under him, and I'm sure what happened is they saw George Johnson actually played 4 games this season with Detroit and then was released. And in 2014, he had 6 sacks with Detroit. Started out originally with the Tampa Bay Bucks in 2011, and then just for whatever reason hasn't really panned out. He was with Minnesota for a little while, back with Detroit, back with Tampa. So he probably had something that caused these teams to like his ability because they kept bringing him back. But he's already had 2.5 sacks with the Saints in 2 games, and he played 4 games with the Lions earlier this year and didn't have any sacks. Now he's probably getting more snaps with the Saints as well. So it's worked out well, and that's what Terry Fontenot and his staff do. That's their job.
And when you got Cam Jordan on the other side, if you have some ability, you can make some plays. They won't key in on you as much. And look, the Saints are going to need him now because, like I said, I don't know the extent of the injury to Haley Kikaha, who left late in the Falcons game, but that's another injury we're going to have to keep an eye on. And it's no guarantee that, say, Trey Hendrickson comes back this week. Maybe he's ready for the playoff game, but I don't think that's a real major given either. Let's hit the phone lines again. 504-260-1280 is the number to get involved. Let's head to the West Bank and Ronnie. Hey, Ronnie, thanks for calling Dunc and Holder. What's up?
Hey, man. Quick question. Basically, what's a two-part question? Number one, Kenny Vaccaro, if we continue to play the way we're playing in the secondary now, do you sign him back unless he comes back at a cheap price? And number two, do you keep that money and go get you a tight end? Because I think that's the only thing this offense is missing is a receiving / blocking tight end. Do they have any in the free agency that you guys are aware of? And is there any of them in the draft that are catching your eye?
Hey, Ronnie, appreciate the phone call. Good questions. Let's start with Kenny Vaccaro. I would be floored if he was a New Orleans Saint.
Yeah, I'll be surprised.
I would be floored just because I think you've got two safeties you can run with that are much cheaper with Von Bell and Marcus Williams. I think the Saints, if they wanted to bring back Raphael Bush on a minimal contract, I think he would be open to staying. Now, maybe they go out and draft a safety. That wouldn't stun me at all. But I just think Kenny Vaccaro, and this isn't that I don't think Kenny Vaccaro should stay with the Saints. I think he should go out and maximize his absolute top dollar because your life, especially the way he plays and in a violent position as safety where he's running around tackling guys, and I don't want to say kamikaze, but he's a big hitter. He should go out and maximize his dollar, and I think the Saints should use their money elsewhere. And honestly, you could segue that in maybe to tight end.
Well, Jimmy Graham is the number one tight end on the free agent market, but I'll be surprised if he leaves Seattle. I think he likes it out there. He's become very close with Russell Wilson. Now, if somebody comes with just some mega offer, he may have to leave, but they can always franchise him, I think, as well. No, they can't franchise. Yeah, they can. They can franchise him. So that's
a tight end, not as a wide receiver.
As a tight end. Now, there's some other ones available. Ben Watson is going to be available, but he's 37. He'll be 38. Same with Antonio Gates. I would think the Saints would be more inclined to go for a younger player, somebody in their 20s. I think Tyler Eifert would be a really strong addition to this team. He's been playing in Cincinnati, would probably be looking for greener pastures elsewhere. And then there's some other young tight ends. Trey Burton is an interesting guy with the Eagles that I like a little bit. Zach Miller with the Bears, but we don't even know if he's ever going to play again. He had a very serious injury here. Virgil Green. There's a lot of tight ends that are available, and I'll be shocked if the Saints don't bring in one in free agency, but I also think they might draft one. The unfortunate thing about the draft this year is it's not a very deep class for tight ends. There's no O.J. Howard out there, some superstar tight end that's going to come in, I think, and blow your doors off. So I would think the Saints will address it in both areas.
Let's take one more phone call, and then we'll take a break right here on the show. Let's head to Jacksonville, to Adam. Hey, Adam, thanks for calling Dunc and Holder. What's up?
What's up, fellas? Hey, just to give you a heads up, I actually schedule my lunch break now so I can listen to you guys from 11:15 to 12:15. Man, I love your show.
Awesome, Adam. Appreciate it, buddy.
I wanted to touch base. Cordell actually said one of the things I wanted to mention, the crowd noise. I thought it was fantastic. And I turned to my fiance and I said, "Listen to how loud this crowd is right now," and it showed. I don't remember how many penalties the Falcons had, but it was bonkers, man. I'm excited, and hopefully this weekend we can beat Tampa, get that home field for that, at least that first playoff game. And I'm be honest with you, I don't think it matters who we play against in that first playoff game. I think if it's in New Orleans, I think we beat them hands down, no matter what. Also, as far as you made mention about which team makes me nervous, it's not Pittsburgh, it's not New England. The one team that's going to the playoffs right now makes me nervous is the Rams, because that run game is disgusting. Todd Gurley out the backfield, the guy runs it down your throat. He can catch the ball, big play potential every time he touches the ball. And to me, I think that's the biggest thing that we're going to have to worry about going to the playoffs is getting a linebacker to cover Todd Gurley out in the backfield or still be able to stay in the middle to close up any of those gaps. And I also think that Drew Brees is going to go absolutely bananas in the playoffs. We haven't seen the Saints' best football. Drew Brees, he hasn't been playing as well as we've seen over the past couple of years. So I got a feeling, I don't know what it is, but I think Drew Brees is going to go absolutely bonkers come the playoffs, guys. I'm going to let you guys go. I appreciate everything you do, man. Y'all have a happy new year, okay?
All right, Adam, you too. Thanks for taking your lunch break around us. We really appreciate it up in Jacksonville. Look, I think Adam has a good point about Todd Gurley. he is now really on fire. We say how dynamic Alvin Kamara is. Todd Gurley, you could argue now, as we get to the home stretch, that it's a 1-2 race for the MVP, and it might be Tom Brady versus Todd Gurley.
I think that's what it is, Larry. And, yeah, the last 2 weeks he's carried that team on his back. And the other thing I think that's scary if you're a Saints fan about the Rams is I really think Sean McVay and Wade Phillips is one of the better combinations of coaches. I thought their game plans against the Saints were spot on. And I think most of the time the Saints have an edge in the coaching department against most teams. I'm not sure it's that advantageous against the Rams because I think that much of McVay.
I will say a glimmer of hope. Remember, the Saints played without Marshawn Lattimore and Ken Crawley in that game.
Yes, so and they played them well.
They played them pretty well regardless. So, hey, Adam, appreciate the phone call up in Jacksonville. Look, we'll take a final break in hour number 1. And like I said, we're treating this like a Monday show. No guests. As much Saints talk as you want to have, we want to have it too. So 504-260-1280 is the number to get involved. And Jeff and I will have a no-holds-barred to the death over butt pick.
Oh, God, I'm not even using those words together. I won't even use part of the word.
Was it a pick?
No, it's an interception.
Was it off of his butt?
What I think's funny about it is, no, it actually wasn't. I looked at it again. It was on the hamstring.
It started on his butt and rolled down the hammy. The butt bone's connected to the hammy bone. Isn't that the song?
I'm looking at it during the break.
There we go. Come on back. Sports 1280, NOLA.com, and the iHeartRadio app. We're Dunc and Holder.
No. Kamara can run between the tackles and is physical. And I would say Ingram hits the holes and hits the defensive linemen and linebackers at least as hard, if not harder than Kamara. But Kamara is like Teflon, man. They can't tackle this kid. It's a nice dynamic duo, those two at running back.
Join Corey Johnson on The Neutral Ground, 4 till 6 on Sports 1280, New Orleans.
The 4 Battle for Stardom is a new head-to-head singing competition on Fox. 4 amazing singers. Every week, they'll face off against new challenges with the superstar panel of hitmakers. Sean Diddy Combs, DJ Khaled,
it's
Megan
like Love
Trainor,
Shack. You
Charlie
could have
Watt,
B-52s.
and hosted
Butt
by
pick,
Fergie.
baby,
The prize
butt
is the
pick.
panel. They become the winner's dream team working to make them a star. The winner will also be named iHeartRadio's On the Verge artist.
Butt
The 4
fumble.
Battle for Stardom,
Yeah, exactly.
premiering Thursday,
Dumb.
January 4th on Fox.
Exactly, that's the point.
It's that time. Countdown time. Relive the year in music with iHeartRadio.
Man,
check
you
out
are so
6
hard to
Cents with
please.
Nikki Sixx as she plays the biggest hits of 2017.
Yeah, I was looking at it.
Plus, we have playlists
Well, that's part of
the
it.
top 100 songs of the year for rock, alternative,
Bovada's
pop,
like the
and
odds.
more.
But
All
this is like
music
the
you
big
need to remember
playoffs.
2017 and
By the
get
way,
you
you don't
set
have to
for
get to the
2018 right in your pocket. All your favorite music, all your favorite stations, all free.
Oh, like I never even asked those.
If you've fallen behind on your taxes, you know that the IRS is already coming for their money, and they'll get it too by garnishing your wages or maybe even taking your home or business. They call it enforced compliance, and you'd better watch out because the penalties and interest compound daily, making it
1 minute.
to ever get out of debt. You need to call the experts at Optima Tax Relief. Solving tax issues is all they do. One call to Optima starts the process to stop the demand letters and stop aggressive collection actions. They get to work immediately, fighting to protect your assets and helping you put your tax problems behind you. The IRS writes off millions every year, and Optima knows all the ins and outs of the IRS's tax assistance programs that could save you thousands. So what are you waiting for? Call Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-798-2477. That's 800-798-2477. 800-798-2477.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
A more peaceful, healthy world happens one person at a time.
They're like 3 or 4,
Around
right?
the globe,
They can
there
only
are
be 3
children
or 4.
who
Right.
dream of helping their family,
Coming back.
hope for the future, and who have a name.
Jeff's favorite song.
Directly at unbound.org.
This is Dunc and Holder on Sports 1280, New Orleans.
Welcome back to the show. 504-260-1280 is the number to get involved. Of course, we're talking Saints-Falcons, putting a bow around the game, and then looking forward, basically, what teams would you think the Saints would match up best with in the playoffs? Which ones do you want to avoid altogether? If you never have to face them, you'll live a great life, so we want to get your interaction there. Well, Jeff, just kind of looking back at that game, Saints-Falcons, and you cannot discount how well the defense played. I don't think I've ever heard Sean Payton use the words. What did he say? Magnificent?
Yeah, I think it was magnificent. You're exactly right.
I don't think I've ever heard him
kind of unsolicited too, right?
Speak as glowingly about the defense. Maybe I don't want to say ever in his tenure with the Saints, but that is the highest praise I've heard him for that unit in a long, long time.
We've heard Sean Payton countless times after games, and you can kind of know quickly during his little introductory preamble what kind of mood he's in. And you could tell he was extremely happy with the performance. And basically what he's saying is Dennis Allen is doing a hell of a job. They've lost 6 projected defensive starters going back to Fairley. Guys, Delvin Breaux, guys that they were counting on. And they continued to lose them throughout the second half of the season, and they just keep plugging in guys. And at one point, Larry, you and I were both looking at that defense in the press box saying, not much out there. They're really not as far as high-profile players other than Cam Jordan, Lattimore. You got Rankins, of course. And then you got either young players or journeymen. And yet they're out there shutting down one of the best offenses in the league, albeit with the aid of great crowd noise, which I think buoyed them. But it's a remarkable achievement what they've been able to do. Now I think eventually it's gonna come home to roost when they get into the playoffs. But they're maxing out, and that's all you can ask for. And I think the fans recognize that.
Bob and Harahan.
I think if you got those top corners though in there, you could certainly do it. So hey, let's hit the phone lines 504-260-1280. Let's go to Harahan. Bob. Hey Bob, thanks for calling Dunc and Holder. What you got?
How's it going, guys?
Good.
I think I saw an article in the paper a while back that said if the running back Ingram makes All-Pro this year, his last year of his contract is voided and he becomes a free agent.
That's correct.
If that's so, do you pay him the big bucks or you let him walk? And number 2, Lattimore has turned into a great player, but it seemed like he had a reputation in college for being injured a lot, but in the pros he's doing fairly well. What do you attribute that to? Thanks.
Hey, Bob, appreciate the phone call. Yeah, the All-Pro stipulation is in there. First-team All-Pro. I don't think we have to worry about that. I could name 2 running backs off the top of my head who will be first-team All-Pro.
Gurley.
It will be Todd Gurley and Le'Veon Bell.
So he's not going to make All-Pro.
He's not going to make. He might make second-team, but that's not going to be good enough.
That's not what the
Mitch
thing is.
and
But one quick thing about Lattimore. I actually talked to Lattimore, Bob, about his hamstrings after the game because it came up. He was kiddingly saying that he curled the ball into the back of his legs, and he said, my hamstrings are so strong now that they held the ball, and we were laughing about it. And I asked him if he'd actually had done some extra work on his hamstrings when he got to the NFL level, and he said, no, it actually started at Ohio State. His hamstring issues went all the way back to his sophomore year, and he didn't have any problems with it his last year at Ohio State before he went pro. So that's kind of an old storyline that he said hasn't been an issue for 2 years.
All right, let's do a quick phone call. We got a hard break at the hard out at the top end of this segment. Mitch, Baton Rouge. Mitch, thanks for calling Dunc and Holder. What's up, Mitch?
Hey guys, really enjoyed the show.
Appreciate it.
We talked about the third down conversion all season. I have a theory, and you can shoot it down if you like. But in years past, Breeze got fixated on our former tight end who's now a free agent, and we kind of lost the diversity. Typically, we're most successful whenever Breeze is spreading it around to 8, 9, 10 receivers. That's when we're at our best. Has Drew Brees become a little bit too fixated on Kamara? He's a great guy.
1 minute.
He's a superstar in the making, but is it possible that he may have become too fixated on Kamara? And also, what about Jarvis Landry? He's a free agent. They don't want him, or it's messed up in Miami. I think he'd be a great fit here in New Orleans. Come back home.
All right, hey, Mitch, appreciate the phone call. We will get to those points top of the hour because, look, those
Good
are
questions.
2 good questions. So we'll do that here coming up next. And, look, we got one more hour, so
15
come on
seconds.
back. Sports 1280, NOLA.com, and the iHeartRadio app. We're Dunc and Holder.
Seriously, that flew by.
If you've fallen behind on your taxes, you know that the IRS is already coming for their money, and they'll get it too by garnishing your wages or maybe even taking your home or business. They call it enforced.
The beautiful paper, the beautiful paper.
Penalties and interest compound daily, making it seem impossible to ever get out of debt. You need to call the experts at Optima Tax Relief. Solving tax issues is all they do. One call to Optima starts the process to stop the demand letters and stop aggressive collection actions. They get to work immediately, fighting to protect your assets and helping you put your tax problems behind you. The IRS writes off millions every year, and Optima knows all the ins and outs of the IRS's tax assistance programs that could save you thousands. So what are you waiting for? Call Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-798-2477. That's 800-798-2477. 800-798-2477.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
WODT WNOE FM HD2 New Orleans. Listen on the free iHeartRadio app. Search Sports 1280.
Previously on The Herd.
Okay. I believe Robert Kraft, the owner of the Patriots, boxed in Bill Belichick and said, "You're not getting rid of Tom Brady." I don't believe Bill Belichick wanted to do that. I would have...
At this point, I kind of want to smash...
All right, 5 minutes.
But instead, I went to iPlay.com and downloaded the app and play new and classic games on my computer for free. No sign-up and no credit card required. Nothing like a good mystery to take me away, but I don't have time for a movie or a novel. So instead, I'm into the latest iPlay games in the Mystery Case Files Adventure series. And when I need a classic, Agatha Christie Murder Mystery games hit the spot. I get my mystery fix and come away thinking more clearly. No Wi-Fi? No problem. With the free iPlay app, I can play my games offline and tune out. I'm so glad I went to iPlay.com and downloaded the app. It's my daily sanity restoration. I play every day.
NFL, the Eagles get home field advantage throughout the NFC playoffs after holding off the visiting Oakland Raiders 19-10. Eagles quarterback Nick Foles.
Our defense did a great job of keeping us in the game, giving us an opportunity. They came up big all throughout the game, but especially at the end with 2 minutes to go to, be able to kick that field goal at the end.
The Steelers roll the Texans 34-6. Steelers running back Le'Veon Bell on getting a first-round bye.
So it always kind of feels good when you accomplish a goal.
With Steph Curry and Isaiah Thomas both out of the lineup, the Warriors and Cavaliers battle to the final minute, and it's Golden State coming away with a 99-92 win. Kevin Love with 31 points, 18 rebounds.
They aren't at full strength, obviously because of Steph, who brings so much to their team and really gives them a whole different dynamic.
After losing 9 straight in Boston, the Wizards go on to beat the Celtics 111-103. The Sixers end a 5-game losing streak with a 105-98 win over the Knicks. The Thunder and Timberwolves also win. That's sports. Joel Stern, NBC News Radio.
If you've fallen behind on your taxes, you know that the IRS is already coming for their money, and they'll get it too by garnishing your wages or maybe even taking your home or business. They call it enforced compliance, and you'd better watch out because the penalties and interest compound daily, making it seem impossible to ever get out of debt. You need to call the experts at Optima Tax Relief. Solving tax issues is all they do. One call to Optima starts the process to stop the demand letters and stop aggressive collection actions. They get to work immediately, fighting to protect your assets and helping you put your tax problems behind you. The IRS writes off millions every year, and Optima knows all the ins and outs of the IRS's tax assistance programs that could save you thousands. So what are you waiting for? Call Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-798-2477. That's 800-798-2477. 800-798-2477.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Financial markets were closed for Christmas, and it's a light week for economic reports. The Case-Shiller Home Price Index for October is due Wednesday, along with November's pending home sales and the Consumer Confidence Index for December. The week's reports wind up Thursday with international trade in goods for November and the weekly look at first-time jobless claims. Well, the new tax bill, of course, has passed, and people have a lot of questions. For example, they want to know if it will apply to their 2017 taxes. The answer is no. Most aspects of the new tax law that affects individuals will go into effect when filing 2018 taxes. There are
2 minutes.
Deductions, medical deductions, and you might be affected by the temporary change in whether or not alimony can be deducted. Your best bet, experts say, is to check with a tax preparer to make sure you're taking the right deductions and following the letter of potentially complicated law. In the meantime, the National Retail Association says the recently signed tax bill will help retailers a lot. They say that with middle-class taxpayers seeing more take-home pay,
1 minute.
Places to spend their newfound extra.
And a clear call board.
Is that with the change in the individual tax rate, consumers who racked up big holiday shopping bills can rest assured there will be more money in their paychecks by the time those bills come due. By the way, the average Joe and Jane spent an average of $967 on that holiday shopping. Airbnb, the app that lets consumers rent out their homes for short-term lodging, is announcing they are planning on bringing a branded apartment project called Nido to the United States. The residential complexes will be specifically designed for home sharing. The project just got a $200 million investment to help launch the communities by the end of 2018. The first is already under construction in Kissimmee, Florida. The company plans to build 3 others in the Southwest.
TMZ
Consumer and business news, Elisa Z, NBC News.
Country love news. Dunc and Holder, hour number 2 on a Tuesday, December 26th. You missed any of our first hour, lively with interaction from callers, treating us like a Monday show. But if you missed any of it, sports1280.com, NOLA.com, iTunes, SoundCloud, and YouTube page. And had a couple of good points stemming back from hour number 1 from Mitch in Baton Rouge. Had a couple of good questions about, is Drew Brees at times too fixated on Alvin Kamara within the offense? Jeff, let's start there. I don't know if it's necessarily he's too fixated on it, but I think maybe Sean Payton wants the ball in Alvin Kamara's hands, is willing to give Alvin Kamara, say, screens or other plays that you might not think would be optimal on, say, 2nd and long or 3rd and long. But I do think that any way that Sean Payton can get the ball in Alvin Kamara's hands, that they're going to try to do it. Now, Jeff, do you think it's too much? I don't know. Maybe I'm on the fence.
I don't think it's too much. No, I don't think it's too much. I think Drew Brees is still spreading the ball around. That's one of his strengths. I mean, you've got 4 players with 50 receptions or more. Ted Ginn Jr., Ingram, and Kamara both. And Mike Thomas, of course, with 98. I think I understand the point that Bob was making. Was it Bob? I think it was Bob.
Mitch.
Oh, Mitch. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Sorry, Mitch. But I think they're just missing some weapons. And I think the tight end cannot be overstated. I mean, that's a guy that Brees likes to go to in those situations. And right now, Fleener's missed some games, but he's got 22 receptions on the year. I mean, they're not getting enough production out of the tight end. Now, there's only so much. I mean, sometimes it's easy to look at it and say, well, they need a great tight end, but those balls are probably going to the running backs that used to go to the tight end. So it's not like it's not an either-or proposition. I think if they had a great tight end, there'd be less balls going to Kamara and Ingram, is I guess what I'm trying to say. There's only so many balls to go around. And I think the way you and I have talked to Sean before, what he does with his offense every year is he looks and sees who his perimeter players are at his disposal, and he kind of gears the offense around his best weapons. And right now it's pretty clear. It's Mike Thomas, Alvin Kamara, and Mark Ingram. Those are the guys that are getting the ball. And if he had a superstar tight end, then probably Ingram and Kamara would be getting the ball less.
And at times you use Ted Ginn. And I think they're using Ted Ginn more in more diverse situations than just, say, a deep guy. And I just think that's kind of the nature of the position at wide receiver. And I guess that leads into Mitch's next point about what about Jarvis Landry? He's going to be a free agent because he's not getting any kind of fifth-year extension because he was not a first-round pick. So he's a 4-year contract guy. Then you become unrestricted free agent. Could the Dolphins franchise tag him? Yes, I doubt they do that. But I think that Jarvis Landry would be a tremendous fit with the Saints. The problem is, how much money are you going to be willing to pay for a wide receiver?
That's the key.
I think that's the key because in a couple of years, you're going to run into this with Michael Thomas because you're definitely paying him number one money.
Yeah, I don't know if the big-ticket free agent receiver is going to be the way the Saints go. I think they'll be more inclined to draft one. They've had great success drafting wide receivers. I mean, they hit on almost every one of them. They very rarely miss out. So I think that's an area where you can get cheap labor, if you will, and get a guy that can come in because really what you're looking for is a complementary type to Mike Thomas. You got your number one guy. You just need a guy that can stretch the field, kind of play that Ted Ginn role if they don't bring Ginn back, and be a clear number two. And I think they could find that in the draft. I really would be surprised if they went after a big-ticket guy just because I don't think they need to. And Mike Thomas is going to command major money.
If you're going to go a big-ticket guy, you'd go probably another direction. I would go big-ticket on a corner.
Yes.
I would go big-ticket. If there is a defensive end out there lurking, I would go big ticket there. I wouldn't go big ticket on a tight end. I would just get someone who would be viable. I would not.
Yeah.
I would not do that.
No, I mean, I don't know what Tyler Eifert would cost.
He's probably going to command some good money coming from Cincinnati.
But I mean, the Saints overpaid for Coby Fleener. I think we all know that. We knew it when they did it.
Yes.
That they were paying him too much, and they kind of impulsively jumped once they lost Ben Watson. I don't think they were prepared to lose Ben Watson. But that's been kind of a bad move. There's no doubt about it. It's handicapped them with the cap, and Fleener just has not been the dynamic down-the-seam threat that they've wanted and needed at that spot. And I think they'll find somebody that can run, that can be that move-type tight end because they've got other options on the roster as far as the blocking tight end.
But let's be honest. We knew tight end was a weakness, but Coby Fleener at times made some significant catches this year. The fact that he's your best one, and it kind of drops off there, just shows you the lack of real depth at tight end. And we've seen the Saints be successful with Jimmy Graham. We've seen it with Ben Watson. I do think not having someone there certainly hurts on third down. I think the fact that you don't have someone as far as completely consistent outside of Michael Thomas on third down, I think that's a hindrance as well. But you got to make it work, and let's be honest. The Saints are not that good on third down, and they're 11-4. So they're doing a lot of things still right. And, Jeff, I think I'm with you here. They're getting it done on first down and second down. You could see consecutive. You could see, say, 3 consecutive third downs. Say Kamara gets a third down. Kamara will do something great on first down and get 10 yards. Mark Ingram can pop off a 10-yard run. You could throw – Michael Thomas can get open, and you're marching down the field, and you're not having to use third down as much. So I think that's been a big key to their success, and they've needed it because third down has been not as stellar as you're accustomed to.
Yeah, I agree, and it's been a conundrum. I don't really can't quite put my finger on why they're struggling on third down, and I think a lot of people are looking at it trying to figure out they're 22nd in the league right now in third down conversions, and they're almost always a top 5, as you said, a top 5 team. I think they led the league last year, didn't they?
They've been I need to go back and look at my story. I know that at least the last 2 years they've been number 1 in the NFL in third down conversions. It might be, I don't want to say 3 in a row, but I know over the last 2 seasons, 15 and 16, they were number 1 in the league converting on third down.
36.8% this year. Opponents 38.1. They're doing well defensively. But this is a team that routinely is in that 40 to 45% range. I've seen them convert 45% before.
I've seen the 2011 Saints, they converted 56% of the time.
That's insane.
That is an insane number.
Yeah, and that helps your defense because you keep them off the field. And so it's exposing this defense right now that's down so many starters, and that is a concern. There's no doubt about it, and it's something they've got to get fixed. And I'm not sure they've got the answers right now on this offense. So that's why they become more of a ground and pound type team, using that offensive line, using the short passing game. I mean, the Saints' passing game is the running game is an extension of their passing game. I mean, they throw these short swing passes to Kamara, and that's why what quietly is happening. Not necessarily quietly, but Drew Brees is going to break this record for NFL record for completion percentage in a season. He's 71.9 now. The record was 71.6, I think it was, by Sam Bradford. And Drew Brees has got 4 of the 9 best season completion percentage marks in the history of the NFL. Of the top 9 ever, Brees has got 4 of them, and he's going to shatter it this year. Be highly unlikely that he would drop below 71.6. He'd have to have a really miserable game next week in Tampa to drop down below Sam Bradford's mark. So that's another feather in Drew Brees' cap on a Hall of Fame career.
Absolutely. So 504-260-1280 is the number if you want to get involved in the show. And we've had a busy call board first hour. Feel free to jump in as you please. You want to call in, get involved, we will do so. Now, Jeff, you mentioned the run game, and we've seen the musical chairs of offensive linemen. It has happened, I don't want to say every week. It feels like it's happened every week. Again, once again, Teron Armstead leaves the game with a thigh injury. I think that's probably still an injury that was hindering him. And I think, if my memory serves me correctly, he re-injured it or came up slow during the Deion Jones interception, trying to chase down Deion Jones. Drew Brees, heck, he tried to chase down Deion Jones too because he knew how critical the play was.
Right.
They ended up stopping it, and of course, the Saints come up with the giant play. Tyler Davison forced fumble, Manti Te'o with the recovery. But again, who knows what's going to happen with Teron Armstead? I was surprised that Larry Warford returned, but he passed concussion protocol, so if you pass that, then you're good, we think, given how the concussions things have gone the last couple of weeks. They were overly cautious, I feel like, this week with everyone, especially watching that game last night.
But the injury I'm concerned with is Teron Armstead.
Absolutely.
I mean, to me, that is huge. They've got to get him back. The thing, even if he comes back, he seems so banged up right now that I'm not sure he can make it through a game. It's happened over and over. It seems like it's multiple things, too. It's not just one thing.
And it's all over the place. It could be a thigh, it could be the knee, it could be his shoulder. Who knows? He's had a tough year. To his credit, he's trying to gut it out.
He's a tough dude, yeah.
He's trying to his damnedest to gut it out. And he's no one we've seen him try to play with one leg. I remember a couple of years ago, the guy played with one leg and was still one of the best. And he's still trying to gut this thing out. But I think to your point, Jeff, and we saw it, Andres Pete at left tackle, that's not the optimal thing.
No.
He's
better,
not want that.
Better at guard.
I think he's made tons of strides at guard.
Right.
He's not a starting left tackle in the NFL that you want.
Here's the thing, Larry. I know they've got to win this Tampa game for a lot of reasons, but I'd be more inclined. I mean, Tampa has no pass rush. That's the one big weakness they've got. That's what they're going to address in the offseason. If there was a game you could go in and maybe survive, it's this one. And get Teron Armstead healthy for the playoffs, because once you get in the playoffs, you're going to be playing against either Atlanta, Seattle, Carolina. And then you go to Minnesota and Philadelphia with two fierce pass rushes. You need to have him close as you can to 100%. I think they should rest him this week, but I know it's a critical game too.
I think they'd be smart to rest him, and we've seen this in a few games this year where they have scaled back on players, feeling like, okay, we can survive this. No, they're never going to say that publicly, but you can read between, the tea leaves and figure that thing out, what they're doing as far as resting some guys. So it should be another interesting week with injuries because, like I said, Kikaha left that game. We'll see what happens with Armstead. We'll see if, say, a Trey Hendrickson can come back. We'll see how some other guys respond for some injuries, but they've been through so much attrition, and the fact that we're still sitting here 11-4 with the Saints, playoff bound, is I don't want to say borderline miracle because I don't want to go that far, but it's pretty remarkable that they've been able to fight through all of these injuries and ailments and get to where they are and kind of hang on and still play very good football.
Yes, I think it's all happened a year too early for most. I say a year too early, a year before most of us expected. But this draft class, Jeff Ireland and his staff put together one of the most remarkable draft classes I think in recent NFL history. I mean, they basically got 5 starters and potentially the offensive and defensive rookie of the year out of one class. That's something you don't see very often.
All right, when we get back here in the next segment, Jeff and I will battle till the bloody death. Butt pick or something else. What should it be called? Jeff hates everything involving the interception that happened on Marshawn Lattimore's posterior. But guess what? Humanity's going to side with me, Jeff.
Yeah, I think I'm going down on this one.
Yes. So we'll debate that coming up here. And give all the names that are floating out there. Maybe you like one of them. Who the hell knows? So we'll talk about that coming up here next. Sports 1280, NOLA.com, and the iHeartRadio app. Dunc and Holder.
What's better than that fruitcake you got at the office Christmas party? You know, the one that's been passed around for 5 years running. Sucks to be you, doesn't it? Winning Pelicans tickets. That's what the Sports 1280 All-Stars have your chance to win. Weekdays, all you have to do is listen for the winning keyword. Sports 1280, slam dunking your holiday. And catch all the games on News Talk 99.5 WRNO.
The sum above difference is options. At Jersey Mike's, you'll find all kinds of chicken cheesesteaks. Some Philly, some bacony, all fresh off the grill tasty. Jersey Mike's. Be a sub above.
iHeartRadio Music Festival. Our sold-out 2017 iHeartRadio Music Festival from Las Vegas. Let's go! 2 nights, 1 stage. Over 20 of the biggest artists on the planet. Celebrated with iHeartRadio fans from around the world.
iHeartRadio, we appreciate it.
Our sold-out 2017 iHeartRadio Music Festival. Coldplay, Big Thomas Rhett, The Weeknd, and more.
Watch for the best of our iHeartRadio Music Festival this Thursday night and Friday night at 7 p.m. on NOLA 38, the CW.
If you've fallen behind on your taxes, you know that the IRS is already coming for their money, and they'll get it too by garnishing your wages or maybe even taking your home or business. They call it enforced compliance, and you'd better watch out because the penalties and interest compound daily, making it seem impossible to ever get out of debt. You need to call
All right,
the
Dave,
experts
we'll do
at Optima
keyword
Tax
here.
Relief, solving tax issues.
Okay.
Do one call to Optima starts the process to stop the demand letters and stop aggressive.
Well, they better have been paying attention.
I know.
Fighting to protect your assets and helping you put your tax problems behind you. The IRS writes off millions every year, and Optima knows all the ins and outs of the IRS's tax assistance programs that could save you thousands. So what are you waiting for? Call Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-798-2477. That's 800-798-2477. 800-798-2477.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Facebook and record label Universal Music Group are signing a multi-year deal. The deal will allow Facebook users to share videos that have the label's music in them. Currently, videos that contain Universal's music are taken down after they're uploaded. The companies have not said when users will be able to share the music in videos on platforms owned by Facebook. Thousands of people can say they spent part of their Christmas Eve watching a man sitting in a chair by a fire. The man was Jeff Kaplan, director of the video game Overwatch, and he didn't do much but stare back at the camera. He did, hours in, seem like he was announcing who the game's next hero is going to be, but when it got to the crucial name drop, the video broke up. The stream on the game's official Twitch channel attracted as many as 40,000 viewers at one point. Overwatch is a multiplayer first-person shooter published by Blizzard Entertainment. A lot of people had gift cards on their wish list this year, and the Federal Trade Commission says they're seeing a spike in gift card scams, but there are some things you can do to protect yourself. Avoid buying them from public racks if possible, and don't let gift cards linger either. The longer you hold on to them, the longer hackers have access to them.
He did.
Tech up.
Did he?
Coming back.
He sent a
NBC
terrible
News
one.
Radio.
I'll acknowledge him in the.
This is Dunc and Holder
on Sports 1280, New Orleans.
Time to win some Pelicans tickets. Christmas isn't over. We gave a keyword in the first segment of the show. If you remember that keyword and you call 504-260-1280, you will win a pair of tickets to Pelicans Knicks on Saturday night in the Smoothie King Center. They're on a roll. They've won 2 in a row. They're above 500, so go check it out. I would say a winnable game for the Pelicans, including a winnable game tomorrow night against the Brooklyn Nets. But call us now, keyword 504-260-1280. If you have the keyword, remember it, you will win a pair of tickets, lower bowl, to Saturday's Pelicans-Knicks game. So Dave will be busy on the horn. He'll let us know who wins, and you will get a shout-out here on the show. Now, Jeff, your time to be pained, miserable. You promised not to go on a soapbox today. You were going to go on one now. I know it. Marshawn Lattimore's interception immediately became butt pick as soon as the review confirmed the call on the field. Butt pick will live forever. You hate butt pick.
Yes, I hate it.
Why?
Because it's stupid and obvious.
It's stupid and obvious. So
It's
you're
so
calling
simple. It's
you're
simplistic.
calling your cohort on this show basically by proxy stupid and obvious.
I think when it happened, I think the first thing that everybody thought of was butt pick. I don't think anybody didn't think that, and also thought it was very simple and needed more creativity. I don't think it's a wholly unoriginal thought.
You don't enjoy it being part of the history of the butt fumble?
That's stupid too. You have to follow a line, the stupidity. So let me do this. Let's do this. I surveyed people because I had so many suggestions, as I'm sure you did in your social media timelines.
No, I didn't. I just had agreeance. Butt pick
I had
forever.
a million people suggest things to me.
All right,
and I'm going to go
Jeff,
down the
go
list.
through 'em.
Okay. First, I can't say a few of them because there's.
Let me see if it's borderline. I need to almost you should have sent me the list.
I can't send you that word.
Yes, you can.
You can say that?
You could say ass. I just did.
Well, okay. David, are we okay with using ass?
I just did.
Ass grab, ass pounding, ass-erception. That's brutally bad. Now, here's a new one that came today that I thought was kind of creative. Booty snatcher.
Jeff likes it. Booty snatcher.
It's a little different.
All right.
Bummerception, off the word bum, which I think is kind of a British term.
The bloody bums.
Yes, British term.
Yes.
Our headline, which was brilliant, Buns of Steel, S-T-A-L.
E-A-L.
E-A-L, yes.
Yes,
yes.
as in stealing something, not of the Man of Steel like Superman.
I thought that was brilliant.
I thought
Great
the headline was awesome, yes.
But a grab. I don't know what the hell that's about.
I'm just going to sit back and enjoy you reading these.
The very ordinary and boring butt pick.
What?
Now, catching fire lately has been buttception and butterception. I don't like either one of those either.
I'm going to argue. I argued against those immediately because it does not show that it was an interception. It could be someone like Julio Jones catching the ball off of his butt. No. It needs to be an interception. I think that's part of your problem. It needs to have a reference that it is an interception. You know exactly.
You thought a lot of this.
Butt fumble. I'm going to argue forever. Butt fumble, it tells you it's a fumble off someone's butt. Butt fumble.
Well, of course.
Very funny. Butt pick. Very funny.
All right, here's one that just came in, rear interception. That just came in, literally, as we're speaking.
And you're not down with it.
I'm not down with that either.
I saw the look on your face was just like, no, go.
Crackpot. That came from John DeShazer.
Crackpot?
That's stupid.
Dave's even laughing.
This was my suggestion, which no one likes. So I have to admit, I'm alone on the mountain.
You've been a lone
fanny
wolf.
pick.
Fanny pick? What are you, an 80-year-old woman?
Playing off fanny pack. It's hilarious. I thought it was hilarious. No one else thought so.
What about gluteus interceptus? Interceptus maximus.
Yes, I got gluteus interceptus. That's funny. You came along perfectly in the alphabetical reading of this list.
It's like Dave's looking over your shoulder, even though he's nowhere near here.
Gluteus cachimus. And then
Ludius Ketchumus.
Here's one, Intushception. Way too hard.
I mean,
Somebody's
I can't even pronounce it. Right.
Intushception. Jingleberry. Can we sing that on there?
Jingleberry.
Yeah, that's actually a lot of people like that.
What does that even have to do with anything?
I don't know, but it's kind of funny. It's Christmas time. I like it. Keisterception was nominated by my friend Don Hammock, formerly to cover the Saints.
My man Don Hammock. We worked together at the Biloxi Sun Herald. Hammer.
Keisterception's actually pretty creative, but I think it's too complicated as opposed to your
Keisterception
butt pick. Keisterception's a little too much. Posterior pick, which I added the posterior pick for posterity. Way too much.
That was a good lead, though.
Yeah, it's a good writing and story, but it doesn't work as a catchy name.
Right.
I agree. Rump Trump, which was nominated by our friend Brett Martell of the Associated Press, and he explained it just a little while ago on social media. And if you need an explainer, it's probably not a good name.
Please give his explanation, because all of his ACT words just lost me, and it's not it. All I know is if you got to use ACT words to describe your ACT phrase for a simple butt pick, it's not going to work.
Here's Brett Martell's explanation for Rump Trump. It's a metaphor that relates to playing cards. It's not that esoteric, although I can understand how an inclination to focus on the name rather than the word might confuse some people.
Dave, what the hell is that? I'm simple. Butt pick. I don't need all that.
And the Rump Trump's never going to catch on.
No.
Split Decision, nominated by John DeShazier.
Split Decision.
That's kind of funny.
Not that good, though.
I'm a juvenile. So.
Okay. A couple more here. Sphincterception.
Oh, that one's a winner. Wayne's World would call it that.
That's not bad. Yeah, that would win on Wayne's World for sure. And then nominated by Adam Norris, our friend, used to work here in local TV and now is the Director of Communications.
I can't wait for this ACT word.
The Tookus Takeaway.
Tookus Takeaway. All right, not too ACT-ish.
Get some points for creativity.
Tookus.
Tuckus or Tookus, I guess. Tuckus.
Okay.
And then one just came in, the Rectus Interceptus. Again, we have got none of these are any good.
Yeah, there's only one great one.
No, that's not great.
Butt pick.
Butt pick is not great, but you know what? It's dominating the Twitter poll. It's not even close. So let me read the Twitter results because it's pretty.
Jeff made this. You realize he didn't announce he made a Twitter poll. He just kind of did it because he did not want to promote that butt pick was going to dominate.
No, I did. If I didn't want to promote, I wouldn't have put butt pick in the options.
You just had to make sure the truth is out there.
13 votes so far, Larry. Butt pick 50%. So over half. I mean, right at half. Buns of Steel 20%. Fanny pick 17%.
Poor Jeff.
Brutal. 13% other. So it's clear that the people
17% is way too high.
The people have spoken for butt pick.
It's simple. It's snappy. It describes it, and it plays off butt fumble, which is one of the most hilarious plays ever. It all works.
There's no creativity to it. None. It's just simple. It's like
a sphincter.
See? Wayne's World would like that.
I guess I'm just overthinking it.
Dome Patrol. That's too simple. But does that work?
That's very creative.
Exactly. Like butt pick.
No, there's nothing creative about butt pick. Zero creativity. I think everybody that tried to think of a nickname immediately thought of butt pick first.
Because go with humanity on this one. An island is a lonely place. I know. An island is a lonely place for you, my friend. You're not antisocial.
Butt pick is definitely going to survive on because the people have spoken.
Exactly. So all the T-shirt companies in town, get your butt picks ready and see if you can get Marshawn Lattimore's butt. Is that copyrighted? If you put his butt on a picture, can you actually tell it's stealing from his image? I'm curious. We need to find that out.
That's a good question. I don't know. I talked to him at length afterward about the play, and we were talking, and of course, when we walked into the locker room and it got open, Craig Robertson and Marcus Williams were yelling at each other, playfully kidding each other about who was going to get the interception first if Lattimore didn't corral it because they were both going for it. And actually, Marcus Williams made the assist.
He was the first one there to kind of give it a little tap.
And even the Falcons guy was coming in to try and get a hold of it too. What if he would have caught it? What if he'd have picked it off of Lattimore's legs and ran with it. I mean, it was just a crazy play. But the most amazing thing about the play is that the ball was way up in the air on the deflection and just came down like a feather on his legs. And it's because his legs were spread, it kind of nestled between them. I mean, it's just amazing play.
Don't use
Jeff,
word,
just
Jeff.
keep
So
going.
do not stop talking.
Jeff,
Jeffrey.
keep going. I need you to describe it in more vivid terms.
Well, you all are like in the gutter here. You know, like little kids. Like Beavis and Butthead.
Dave, you're damn right we are.
You can't talk about a ball
damn right
landing
we
on the
are.
back of somebody's legs without you.
Nestled between his legs.
What's wrong with that?
Came down like a feather nestled between his legs.
That's what happened. Yeah, Beavis and Butthead. He said nestled.
A sphincter says what?
The chances of that happening, though, are 1 in a million. I mean, really, 1 in a million. It's amazing. You'll never see that play again. I was talking to Craig Robertson, and Craig Robertson's like, oh, yeah, I've seen that play before. You know, it's happened. He dribbled off 2 or 3 times.
Sure.
Not like that.
No.
You've seen a ball land on a guy's back, but not from that high
Marshall
up.
Lattimore was on his stomach on the ground,
He was
and it
sliding.
falls. It nestled
Right.
near his posterior.
It was an amazing play. The chances, again, we'll never see another play like that. That play will live on in Saints lore, like I wrote about. The fact that those are the kind of plays that used to happen to the Saints. Now it happened for them.
Well, it's like the Meacham miracle. Now you got butt pick.
That's true. That's probably a very similar type of 1 in a million play that'll go down in history, and that it happened against the Falcons, and then 3 or 4 plays later, I can't remember what it was, Ted Ginn Jr. scores. So instead of the Saints going in up 6-3 or maybe even down 7-6, they go up 13-0. I mean, the game was pretty
Huge
much
swing,
over.
yes, exactly. So butt pick will live forever. Jeff can talk about feathers nestling in someone else's
fanny pick.
But fanny pick. I think you and Hulk Hogan are the only people who still wear fanny packs to this day. He at least has a cool leather one.
Fanny packs are coming back. I've seen them a lot at Jazz Fest recently.
What?
I'm just telling you.
They're not coming back.
Telling you, they're coming back.
We're coming back with butt picks and all. Sports 1280, NOLA.com, and the iHeartRadio app. Duncan Holder.
A sphincter says what?
Your forecast on Sports 1280, New Orleans.
Duncan Holder fanny packs.
Duncan Holder fanny packs.
Tuesday.
We need that now. Way to go. That's merchandising, Jeffrey.
Showers around
No,
today
at
with
least
the
if we get a
temperatures
Duncan
down,
Holder fanny
likely
pack,
only
you'd have to
climbing into
fill
the
them
low
up with
50s
the
this afternoon.
airport-sized
Overnight, we'll
booze
fall into those
bottles.
40s.
That would be a good way to
Get out
set.
of the
Jeff's
40s
looking up
tonight.
fanny
Look,
packs.
you can
As
buy
more
them on the
clouds
internet.
and
Of
more
course you can
showers
buy
move
them on
into
the
I mean, you
internet.
can get
From the
customized
Fox
ones.
8 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist
Customized
Shelby
fanny
Latino.
pack.
Have a great day.
Tired of
Please do
sitting in
not buy
holiday
that as
travel
swag.
traffic? Wish you were back.
Do it, Jeff.
I'm doing it.
Perfectly
They're only
balanced, soft, and
$2.59
firm.
each.
Of course they are.
To take advantage of a special holiday offer, head over to Casper.com and get the sleep you have been
Hipster
dreaming
deluxe
of.
fanny pack. No, there's no such
Marley.
thing as a
come on.
hipster fanny pack.
Deluxe
Viagra.
fanny pack.
If it's got a PBR logo on it, maybe.
Right, exactly.
And generic 20 milligrams for $2 per tablet.
Or the
It comes with
highlight.
your own detachable beard.
Marley
Get a
Jones,
tattooed
North
Santa
Carolina
fanny
And
Farm
your,
Pack.
and
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. Did y'all ever have those?
For more information on
No, we had guitar picks.
Really?
That's
That's kinda cool.
Yeah.
800-853-6367.
Yeah, you know, I learned, by the way, that the guy you were talking about that was at Tipitina's, or Howlin' Wolf, that guy's
Ring in
big
the
time.
new year
What was the
with a
guy's
gift
name?
from Edible Arrangements.
Horton
Make your
Heat?
New Year's
Reverend
Eve
Horton Heat?
celebration sweeter than ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Starting
don't know
at
why.
only $19.
Everybody that
That's
I
right,
know
just $19.
went to
Your
that
friends,
show.
family, and party guests will love sharing a freshly crafted fruit arrangement.
That was this weekend?
I think it was last weekend, yeah.
New
Howlin'
Year's
Wolf. Yeah, the
resolutions is to
22nd
eat
or
more fruit.
23rd.
Yeah, okay.
Store near you to try a freshly made fruit salad, parfait, or smoothie made to order on the spot. Visit your local Edible Arrangement store or edible.com today to place your order.
If you've fallen behind on your taxes, you know.
Oh,
that
anybody
the
win
IRS
tickets
is-
or no one knows?
Yeah, a guy named Gene. Gene won.
Gene
and we have a
Gilead.
caller, Ed in Kenner.
Okay.
Forced compliance, and you'd better watch out because the penalty
Wants to chime in on the nicknames.
possible to ever get out of debt. You need to call the experts at Optima Tax Relief. Solving tax issues is all they do. One
Jeff's
call to
hell.
Optima
Booty
starts the
snatcher.
process
Kinda
to
like a
stop
booty
the demand
snatcher.
letter.
Booty snatch.
Immediately,
growing on
fighting
me?
to protect your assets
It's
and
nestling
helping you
in
put
my
your tax
cerebellum.
Feathers nestling in.
here and Optima knows all the ins and outs of the IRS's tax assistance programs that can save you thousands.
I don't know.
So,
Yeah.
Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-798-2477. That's 800-798-2477. 800-798-2477.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
People make your business work. But how do you find the right talent? ZipRecruiter. One click posts your job to over 100 top job boards. Then, smart matching technology instantly alerts quality candidates about your job. No wonder 80% of employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site in
10 seconds.
ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
To try ZipRecruiter for free, just go to ZipRecruiter.com/expand. That's ZipRecruiter.com/expand.
Learn what our insiders know about your home teams. Sports 1280, New Orleans.
Dunc and Holder back at you for another 20 minutes or so. Shout out to Gene, winner of the Pelicans-Knicks tickets. He correctly got the keyword gumbo, so he wins. Good for him. Lower bowl, enjoy the game. Look, the Pelicans are taking on the Nets tomorrow night. 7 o'clock tip. Of course, you can listen to all Pelicans games, home, road, in space, wherever the hell they play. You can hear them on our sister station, 99.5 WRNO. Let's hit the phone lines. 504-260-1280 is the number to get involved. Let's go to Kenner. Ed. Hey, Ed. Thanks for calling Dunc and Holder. What you got?
Yeah, hey, Jeff was talking about a more creative name. I came up with something for the interception.
We're a little scared right now, but go ahead, Ed.
Posterior pick.
Exactly. I like that.
Posterior pick.
I like that.
Why not butt pick? Butt pick. Butt fumble, butt pick.
Okay
Funny.
with me, but Jeff doesn't like it.
Jeff doesn't like any of these names. He likes, what did you
Ed,
like?
I like posterior pick for posterity. But that's too long.
There you go. There you go.
That's a good.
In a nutshell.
That's a good lead to a column. Yes, but what's the other one that now you're all giddy about?
Booty snatcher.
Booty snatcher. Sounds like a Beyonce song.
But Ed, do you agree with me? Butt pick's so simple. There's nothing to it.
I'm sorry.
Look, sometimes simple.
Somebody's shouting in from behind.
I don't know. They want you to order your food at McDonald's wherever you are. So simple can be perfect. Do you know this, Jeff? Sometimes simple. Have you ever watched? I know you have. Top Chef. Sometimes you make simple perfect, and butt pick is simple and perfect.
No, it's not. It's just simple. There's no perfect about it.
Oh, no perfect about it.
I like Ed. I like the way Ed thinks.
Of course you
agrees
do.
With me.
Of course you do. He probably read your column. He's probably got it up on his poster on his wall.
A question from the YouTube audience that I think is a valid question, asking about Cameron Brate. That's a very good point. So we all know Cameron Brate was actually in the Saints building. He was on the Saints for a brief period of time, and he got away, ended up signing with the Bucs. Man, would he look good right now as the tight end of the future for the Saints. You know, he's a guy that they could hang their hat on going forward, and I know that's one that they felt like they let get away, and Sean Payton has talked about that. Got signed away off the practice squad, right?
Yes, he did. And look, sometimes it happens, and we've seen it. Saints have picked up practice squad guys off of other places, and they've done just fine, and other times, hey, it doesn't work out. But no, that would be certainly someone they could use, no doubt about that. But Jeff, because we're going to look back here, and we're going to move on tomorrow to Tampa and the playoff picture. But Jeff, you look at that game, and the Saints stayed away from Michael Thomas early, and you're wondering about how that injury was going to affect him because there was all kinds of talk. Is he going to play? Is he going to not play with the hamstring injury? And I don't know if the Saints necessarily slow played it to Michael Thomas, but second half, when they needed some big plays, they started going to him a little bit more. And I think I don't know how injured he was or if they were just trying to take him out as far as defend against him. But when they needed a big play, they were able to go to him. And I think he played his regular amount of snaps, if I'm
talking
not
about Mike Thomas?
Yeah, he played 40 snaps, only 62%, so maybe his snap counts were a little lower than maybe you expect. But they didn't want to push him, and I'm trying to.
You know what surprised me, Larry, when I look back at the box score after the game?
4 catches, 66 yards for Mike Thomas.
Julio Jones had 7 catches for 149 yards. I don't remember that. Maybe that was all mop-up duty, or.
Well, he had a big reception deep on Marshawn Lattimore. He beat for the 44-yard reception. And then a lot of those were, I feel like you do a little quick cross, and then he would able to get some yards. But, yeah, like he had some big plays. Now, he didn't hit the end zone.
That's been typical of him all year.
Ultimately, and you're right, that has been typical all year. And ultimately, that's all you're really worried about. But
you know what else surprised me? I was just looking at Ted Ginn Jr.'s stats. Last year with the Panthers, he caught 54 passes and for 4 touchdowns. This year for the Saints, right now he has 50 catches and 4 touchdowns. He averaged 13.9 yards a catch last year. He's up to 15.1 per catch this year, and that's aided by that 54-yarder he had against the Falcons. But his numbers are almost identical as he was in Carolina.
Yeah, he had 754 yards receiving this season, and I think if you were asking the Saints what you envision from him, they would envision a high average per catch, 15.1 yards per catch. But I don't think they would envision him being as maybe dynamic as far as running shorter routes and maybe some screens. But they've had him do some intermediate routes, some crossing routes. They've had to because you look at the way that Willie Snead has played, I've said, like he hasn't been the same guy. You look at the way Brandon Coleman has played. He's made 1 or 2 significant catches per game, and then he's fumbleitis. I don't think he caught a pass in this game. If I'm
who's that?
I don't think Brandon Coleman caught a pass.
Yeah,
no, he wasn't even targeted this past game, which doesn't totally surprise me.
Josh,
after
Sacramento.
The one thing real quick I would say about the Saints, third down percentage being bad, 36.8%. They've come up short a lot of times where they're just like a yard short or a foot short. They are 12 of 14 on fourth down.
Best in the league.
85.7%. So lots of times they might not get it on third, but they're going for it on fourth and still moving the chains, keeping possession of the ball. So it's a little bit of a misleading stat sometimes.
Well, if you're willing to go for it on fourth down, I guess it is a little misleading. But you don't always go for it on fourth down, obviously.
But you got that good offense. Sean Payton feels good about it. He's willing to do it. And you know, Doug Peterson feels the same way. I'm in agreement with those guys. When you got really good offenses, good offensive lines like both those teams do, more often than not, you're going to get it.
Be aggressive. That's how they got there. I don't fault them ever for going for it on fourth down.
Right.
504-260-1280 is the number to get involved. Let's head up to Sacramento. Josh. What's up, Josh? Thanks for calling in the show.
Hey, thanks for taking my call, guys.
You got it.
We have to stop using the term booty snatcher. That is just horrible.
That's a Beyonce song.
Necessary. Just stop it. The one I thought about was the immaculate reception rather than the immaculate reception.
I don't know about that.
That one around.
It's not bad. Creativity. I like it better than butt pick.
It almost sounds like you're, emasculating someone. And, I mean, hey, that's probably not the best. So
but at least it's creative as opposed to butt pick.
It's creative.
A tortoise could have come up with.
Butt pick. Simple, catchy, put it on a T-shirt, boom, butt pick.
Yeah.
And then you put a picture of
I'm
Lattimore's
wear a
butt.
butt pick T-shirt. Yeah,
I
that's
guarantee.
Gonna happen.
Well, you'd rather a booty snatcher.
I would.
Shirt.
I'd wear booty snatcher, but
no. That sounds like a prison term of some sort.
Oh no! Anything involving this play is.
I ruined it for you.
Yeah, anything involving this play brings up the potential for crude, hilarious joking,
sophomoric,
exactly
laughter.
I'm in.
Yeah, but I like the idea. I like creativity, and I like trying to come up with something that's going to stand the test of time. I think butt pick, though, we're stuck with it, unfortunately.
Yeah. So, anything else, Josh?
Yeah, to kind of play on what you guys were talking about with Michael Thomas, I think that the whole Michael Thomas thing, I think that was just Sean Payton doing his little scheming thing to where, who adds someone that late into the injury report, the Saturday night before a game just to kind of mess with the Falcons. And then also, I'm not sure if you guys talked about it. Taysom Hill out there as a wide receiver for a single play. I'm like, we just need Austin Carr. Just put him in there. He's got plenty of time to learn the playbook. Put him out there. We don't have anything to lose. I mean, Willie Snead is not really getting the job done. So put Austin Carr out there. We don't have anything to lose. So,
hey, Josh.
That's a good point.
Appreciate it as always. I think maybe you see him this game. I don't know. Why not?
No, they haven't seen him all year, and they've been in a very similar situation. I'm surprised. I know they like Austin Carr a lot. Surprising, but I just don't feel like the numbers add up. You can only have so many receivers on the active roster, and Taysom Hill is playing special teams. So that's what's got him active right now, is that they need a body on special teams, and then they're going to get a few snaps out of him as a receiver. If Austin Carr doesn't play teams, which I don't know if he does, I assume he doesn't, that's why he'll – trust me, when they go into those meetings trying to decide who's going to be active, it comes down to, okay, who can we get some snaps out of on special teams? And Austin Carr probably isn't in that mix.
Well, Tommy Lee Lewis only played 2 snaps at wide receiver, but played 5 snaps at special teams and actually had some good punt returns. And Sean Payton actually mentioned that after the game.
I thought he made some good decisions, too.
I agree, yeah, making some catches on the run and kind of get a good momentum going. So one more segment here on Tuesday's edition. So come on back as Jeff, this song is just for you. Bootylicious here. Sports 1280, NOLA.com on the iHeartRadio app. We're Dunc and Holder.
What about I like big butts?
Chris Gordy.
The one and only coach.
Jeffrey's got that song like in his iPod.
Booty, yeah.
And you don't?
You jam into it.
You don't?
He's running to it.
It's what I work out to every day. Come on.
I like butt pics and I cannot lie.
What are the other good butt
That's
songs?
what it is. I like butt pics and I cannot lie.
The 4
Yes.
Battle for Stardom is
There's
a new
another
head-to-head
one, though. There's
singing
another
competition
famous
on
butt
Fox.
song.
4 amazing.
There's thousands of famous
sorry.
songs.
The superstar panel of hitmakers: Sean Diddy Combs,
trying to
DJ
think of
Khaled,
the one
Megan
that,
Trainor, Charlie Walker, and hosted by Fergie. The prize
blanking
is
on
the
it.
panel. They become the winner's dream team, working to make them a star.
Got Casey and the Sunshine Band.
Goes on the
Shake your booty. Shake,
That's
shake,
right.
shake.
Battle for Stardom, premiering
Booty
Thursday,
snatcher.
January 4th
growing
on
on me.
Fox.
It's time to
Some
treat
guy asked
ourselves
on
to the
YouTube,
gifts
is
we
Beach
didn't get.
available?
With Macy's after Christmas sales specials.
Like the
He needs the
sportswear
money.
I asked for.
Kevin
And
asked.
those boots I was hinting about.
Don't forget the diamond earrings I promised you.
Oh, yeah. And the packable down coat.
Hey, didn't you have a comforter set on your list?
I sure did. We do get an extra 20 or 15% off with our Macy's Carter Savings Pass.
See, this is why I didn't do my gift shopping before.
Yeah, that's the reason. Treat yourself at Macy's after Christmas sale. Savings off.
Oh my God! I just found the craziest song in the world.
Facebook.
God, I love having the iHeart library.
Now Facebook users to share videos that have the
There's an
labels
iHeart
music in
library
them.
with
Currently,
butt songs.
Oh yeah,
taken down after their
it's an entire channel.
have not said when users will be able to share the music and
Entire
videos on
channel.
platforms owned by Facebook.
I'm
Thousands
in a
of people
butt
can say
mood
they spent
today.
part
I
of
think
their
I'd like a butt channel.
Why did you say that on air? Shit!
And he didn't.
I'm in a butt mood today.
I need to listen to the iHeart butt channel.
Yeah, that's the ticket.
iHeart butts.
At one point,
Good
It's like
Lord.
something I would spray paint on the wall where I work. iHeart butts.
cards on their wish list this year, and the federal.
If only
Yes,
that play
but there are some things you
didn't
can do to
actually
protect
happen.
yourself.
If it was
Avoid
overturned,
buying
we'd
from
never be
public racks.
talking about butts all day.
Right.
Yeah, it's
You
so
hold
much
on to them,
better
the
than
longer
if it
hackers
landed
have
on
access
like
to them.
the small of his
Check updates,
back or
Martin Mayfield,
Yeah, it would be
NBC News
nothing.
Radio.
shoulder.
You'd be like, oh, that's a cool play.
When Marlon Shirley was 5, he lost.
All right, 10 seconds.
All right.
The world's fastest amputee. He runs the 100 meters in less time.
Look at Jennifer Lopez and Pitbull.
Come
Oh,
pass it on.
God, that's
From a foundation.
scary
Heard
combination.
your loins.
Dunc and Holder now. Josh Innes next at noon on Sports 1280. New Orleans.
Jeff, you've had a suggestion that because of this phenomenon, that iHeart come up with their own station. What's up
Well,
with that?
I think they do. I think there's a butt channel on iHeart.
Dave, is there an official butt channel that you could listen to on iHeartRadio?
Well, there will be when I'm done.
Exactly.
And I think that's going to be one of the key songs.
I heart radio butts.
I butt radio.
Totally. No, you can't mix that.
I just did.
Well, you're going against the brand, dude.
I'm sorry.
Butt pick for life. Anyway. I knew this would. This topic would take off.
You can wear a butt pick shirt when you shave your head. How about that?
Oh my gosh! Can we just write it on top of my head when I have that butt?
Since
pick?
your head's gonna look a little like a butt.
Well, it's yeah. I don't even know where to go from there. Anyway, okay. Anyone wanting to know? Stay tuned. It's coming. People ask me every day about my head being shaved. It will be shaved by the time the Saints play their playoff game, and we know the Saints are actually in the playoffs because that was a worry. What if they don't make the playoffs? Well, they're in, so I will have a shaved head by the time the Saints play in the playoffs. And Jeff, look, I know we said this at the beginning of the show. I'm still, and it's kind of what I wrote about in my column after the game, the fact that the Saints, went into the season as an improbable playoff team. They've gone through some attrition injury-wise, and the fact that they've made it this far, 11-4, and I also think that you've got to give kudos because some of these games you could have seen as trap games. They avoided every potential trap game outside of the one they've got against the Bucs this week, but still, they've avoided every trap game. And it's not like when they lost, they were totally blown out. I mean, the first two games, they played two of the best teams, who would have thought, in the NFL with Minnesota and New England. And yet, you go through that stretch, they're 11-2 since starting 0-2. I think that's pretty remarkable.
Yeah, that's a really good point, too, is that
Bill and Gentili.
Now that we look at the schedule right now, the standings across the league, the Saints' two toughest opponents they played all year were in the first two games of the year. Minnesota is arguably, I mean, they've still got a shot. Well, they've got a first-round bye, right?
Yes.
I mean, well, if they lose, they wouldn't. There's a long shot.
Teams can get in, yes.
Carolina would have to. It would take like a Haley's Comet sequence of events. I think the Saints, Rams, and Vikings all have to lose, and Carolina has to beat Atlanta for them to get the number 2 seed.
I'll just put it to you this way. The Minnesota Vikings, according to MakeNFLPlayoffs.com, have a 93.7% chance of having a first-round bye. The Eagles are already locked in a first-round bye and home field advantage throughout the playoffs. The only team who can get a first-round bye is Carolina, by the crazy scenario we played out earlier. They have a 6.3% chance at a bye.
Now, I'll tell you one thing that's come up. I was talking to Doug Thornton, who runs the Superdome for SMG, and he's the national director of stadiums for SMG, and one of their buildings is what is it, U.S. Bank? What's it? U.S. Bank
U.S. Bank Stadium.
U.S. Bank Stadium in Minnesota. And he made a very good point that it's very possible that Minnesota could be hosting the NFC Championship game right before hosting the Super Bowl. And he said that's never happened. And it would be very difficult because the Superdome has so much involved with the setup. They usually are 3 weeks out. It requires the stadium to be open to set up. He said that they're really worried. I mean, they'll get it done, obviously, but it's going to take some planning on their part. If Minnesota hosts the NFC Championship game, you're going to have a game in that building on a Sunday and then turn around and have a Super Bowl 2 weeks later. And he said it's going to require a lot of adjusting to the schedule, and it's never been done before. And it could easily happen because Philly right now is looking very vulnerable.
No doubt about that. Let's take one more phone caller as we wrap up Tuesday's show. Let's go to Gentili and Bill. Hey, Bill, thanks for calling Dunc and Holder. What you got?
Well, let's throw out one more line on the catch.
Yes.
No retention.
Wow, that's not bad.
Jeff is certainly shaking his head in agreement.
That's not bad. I like the creativity. It works. Retention, they retained it. Anal's a little borderline, though. A little borderline.
What?
I don't know, a little borderline.
Got about a minute.
Dirty.
I think this whole thing is borderline dirty. Some of it's like absolutely dirty.
But
so
I like
what do
the
you want to do?
creativity. I like the striving for greatness.
Striving
Smell
for
greatness. Wasn't that on a Saints t-shirt?
Something like that. All right, Bill, we appreciate the call and appreciate the thought, but I got to disagree. You're not retaining it. You're taking it away. It's a pick. Pick is slang for an interception.
Retained. It was going to be an incompletion, and then he intercepted it
No.
off of his hamstring.
No. Butt pick for life. Sorry, fanny pack or fanny pick or whatever you're talking about. Bootylicious. No, not happening.
Yeah, the final vote on the Twitter poll was 48% butt pick, 21% buns of steel, 14% other. We don't even go into the other ones. 365 votes.
Oh, well. Want to thank all of your participation today. Great show, great calls. You missed any of it, sports1280.com, NOLA.com, iTunes, SoundCloud, and YouTube. Look, tomorrow, Wobble Wobble Wednesday. It means Will Guillory's going to come on. We'll talk Pelicans. They play tomorrow night. And, of course, we will talk heavy Saints playoffs, Saints, Bucks, all that goodies. So come on back. Sports1280, NOLA.com, and the iHeartRadio app. Dunc and Holder. This is borderline torture music as it is anyway, so Torture Tuesday.